What's going on, guys? I am Corey Jackson. Welcome back to my channel. You guys that know that this channel is all about my lifestyle, the things I really care about, family, fitness, health, fashion, all that good stuff, right? Just the things that I am driven by on a daily basis. Love sharing with you guys. Thank you for being a part of it. If you like good content, deep stories, sub to this channel, definitely hit that like button, and we're gonna get right to it. How a man go about finding a wife? What are the things and qualities that they look for? What are the things that I look for, and how I found my wife, and what stood out the most to me, right? And so when I met my wife, I had no intentions on getting married. I had no desire to be in a relationship. In fact, I was just getting out of a relationship. Had a young kid, literally just months old, and so I just wasn't in the mind frame of even wanting to be in a relationship at all. And so with that said, how did this all happen? How did I ended up finding my wife? How did I end up getting married? It was just a lot of chain of events and things that happened that kind of influenced the situation that happened the way it did. So at this point in my life, I'm out of the NFL. Like I said, fresh out of a relationship. So obviously things are not going that great for me. And so I'm in this position where finding my identity as a person, as a man, separate from being an athlete, and really figuring out my professional life at the same time. At that time I was traveling to speak, so I was speaking at different conferences, but I was really just on the cusp of just building a career. So it wasn't like I was full-fledged, just taking off, right? And so I was grinding, really just trying to figure things out. And so the last thing I needed was to get in a relationship or even think about marriage, because I deemed myself undateable at that time, right? So here's how it all went down, though. It's one of these things where it was just like a chance meeting, right? I'm out at this event. I got introduced at this event, met some people. My wife attended the event. She showed up. We ended up chatting for a little bit, kind of hit it off a little bit, exchanged information. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm probably never going to talk to her again, because I wasn't going to reach out to her. Like I said, I wasn't in the headspace to be dating or even thinking about dating, right? But the next day, I got an email. She hit me up and she was just like, hey, I know you speak and you do a lot of that. I got some kids at our church and we're doing this different thing, and maybe you can come speak to them, right? And so we kind of went back and forth on the email a little bit, eventually hopped on the phone, right? Once we got on the phone, we just started kind of talking, and really, like I said, we were vibing, so we were hitting it off pretty good. And so I just flat out told her, said, listen, you seem like a really cool person. We got great energy, but I'm not dateable, And then I started to be brutally honest about me and my situation, you know, having a kid that's months old, just out of a relationship, figuring out my identity and who I am, and building myself as a man. And so I was just brutally honest about my flaws and all these things that I was going through. At the time, my mom was, she was ill, she had MS. And so, I spent a lot of my time either working with my son or with my mom. And so I didn't really have time for all this stuff, right? And so I'm explaining this to her, and she's very understanding, right? Like, so she's like, yeah, I understand, we could just be cool. No pressure. I'm in a space where I'm looking for a relationship, so I'll be upfront with you about that. But since you can't provide that, I understand that. But let's just be cool, right? And so we kind of put all the chips on the table, from there, we just kind of periodically communicated, and it wasn't nothing too deep. But what happened was we was in the same city. And so we literally probably lived maybe 15 minutes away. But what happened was we would like jump on like these video calls and just, chop it up, laugh, joke. But more importantly, talk about the future and what we wanted to do. And at the time, she was working for one of the bigger law firms in the city or in the state. And so we were having deep conversations on a professional level and where she wants to be and her aspirations. And I'm sharing my stuff. And then we started talking about legacy and building legacy and what that looks like. And we were just vibing. Like, we had so much in common. A lot of the things that we wanted out of life just aligned. And I was growing as a man. And so I started to see what I needed as a man to quote unquote complete me as I build who I was. And she was really matching up with a lot of those things, which was crazy because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, it's not the time for this. It's just not the right time to get in a relationship. But we just continued to communicate. And like I said, she was so understanding about all the things that I was dealing with. It was just unbelievable. She, and so eventually, we talked for a few months. Like I said, we didn't even see each other. We just video chatted, that type of thing. But we didn't see each other. And so one day she kind of, hit me up like, hey, like why you never ask me out to dinner? We can have these conversations in person. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, I was like, well, okay, let's go grab dinner and chop it up, And so she was like, cool. But when we got ready, like, so that we were going to dinner, like probably like later that evening, like 7 o'clock or something like that. But before like that time happened, like this huge storm came through and it was crazy. So it was like this big storm came through, it was raining and thundering and lightning and it was all crazy. So I was like, man, we're probably not gonna have to, we're gonna have to reschedule this dinner because the weather is going crazy right now. And then all of a sudden, like, it just stopped, right? Everything was calm, it stopped. The sun came out, started coming back out. And then this double rainbow like showed up, right? And so I walked out on the balcony and I'm walking out on my balcony and I look and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. It's a double rainbow. And so I snapped a picture with my phone and I sent it to her. And she was like, oh, wow, that's crazy or whatever. And so I was like, you know what? We can still do dinner, you know what I'm saying? So we go have dinner, had an amazing time, man. Just chopping up, like I said, real life stuff, man. It wasn't, no foolishness, no sexual stuff. It was just real life, man. What I want, what we want to do, how we want to build. Like, it was just real life stuff that a man and a woman can vibe on, right? And so from there, I kind of knew that there was something deeper there, and I was like, yo, like we match up on a lot of things, and regardless of the timing, this is a person that I can see being more than just a friend. And so from there, man, we just started hanging out a little bit. And like I said, what really got me was the level of understanding that she had when it came to whether it's my son, my mom, me having my son, mom, and that situation. Like, she was just so understanding of all of those things. And then also the fact that I had to work so much. I was doing a lot. I was traveling to speak. I was taking meetings all the time, going out of town. I was just moving around and working really hard. And so she saw those ambitions. She saw how I was working and how I was moving. And she understood it. She never complained about time, or she didn't complain about me having to go places and do things. She was so supportive of those things. And in fact, she was inspired by it too, because she started to really drill down on her aspirations and the things she wanted to do. And it was kind of cool to see her kind of feed off my energy. And then we started to feed off each other. And then we just kept growing, And honestly, it did not take long for me to know, she's the one. Like, I just, it was a matter of months, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is the wife, And so when we got to the point where we wanted to get married, I just told her, I was like, yo, I want to marry you. And this was so non-traditional though, because I had the conversation with her, and it wasn't like, this big proposal or anything like that. It was just like a real conversation, like how we do. And I was like, I want to marry you, and I want to do it in a way that makes it about what we're about. Like, it's about us. It's not about the glitz and glamour, and it's not about, you know, the hoopla and all that stuff. Like, I want to marry you in the most purest way possible, right? And so she accepted the proposal, obviously, and we decided to have this super small, intimate wedding where it was just her parents, my dad, and then the person that was officiating the wedding. Right, it was that type of situation. At this time, my mom had already passed, so she wasn't there. But it was just my dad and her parents, and you know, it was beautiful. We had the ceremony, we did our thing, but it was a little controversial in the sense that her mom wanted her to have, a big traditional wedding, which we explained to her, like, we're gonna have a big traditional wedding, but we want the actual ceremony to belong to us. We wanted that to be our time and our special moment that we could share with the people closest to us, and not get bombarded by all the festive stuff, right? And so it was a little controversial because obviously, she's the only girl, and so those things were important to her mom. But we explained it to them, and we had those conversations. I talked to her dad, all that good stuff. But it ended up being super beautiful. And then what we did after that was we took that next, 6 to 8 months and planned the actual wedding. So no one knew we were married. Like, so other than our parents and the people that was the closest to us, no one else knew we had gotten married. To them, we were just still dating. Like, no one knew. And so we planned the wedding over the next 6 to 8 months after we have gotten married, right? And then we ended up having the wedding almost like a full year. I think it was almost a year to the day that we actually got married the first time, like the real marriage, right? And it was great. It was a big, beautiful wedding. We had all of our family members was there, and it was one of those things where, it was just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wedding. And it was so many, beautiful people there to support us, and they had no idea that we were already married. And so it was, to them, this was the wedding. Like, to them, this was it, right? And so we went through that whole process, and it was just beautiful to be able to have a wedding without all the pressure and stress, right? Because we already was married, so we didn't have all that other extra pressure and stress of one getting married and doing all that, and then still supporting a big wedding, and we were able to have, multi-generational, individuals in our families to participate in our wedding that was literally their first time participating in that type of wedding, and it was really cool to have that experience, and we were able to share that experience. And like I said, no one knew other than the people that was closest to us that we were already married. But the idea for me was, when you're a man and you're looking for a woman and someone you're going to marry, someone you're going to spend, quote unquote, the rest of your life with, for me, that level of understanding that my wife displayed was just the thing that sealed the deal for me. I was like, anyone that can have that much understanding around, the personal things that a person is dealing with, and the growth and trajectory that a person's on, and how a person's working, and how much energy they have to provide to be successful when they have all these high goals and want to achieve these things. That level of understanding was just so beautiful to me, and that was what sealed the deal. It's like, if this person can be this understanding, as long as I'm always honest and upfront with her, I think that we have a great chance to have a beautiful relationship, And to this day, that's how we operate. We communicate, we share our ideas, we work together, we talk business, we talk family, we talk legacy. We do everything together as a unit, and we have the tough conversations even when it's hard, and we communicate. And to this day, my wife, she runs her own firm now. I have my own firm now. She obviously, she's an attorney. I have a staffing firm, and so we're both busy people and we work a lot, but we share a lot of those experiences and we don't get in each other's way in the sense of my wife has to travel a lot and I have to travel sometimes. And so those things kind of conflict with each other, but we understand the greater good of what we're doing. And because we have that level of trust and understanding that we're building and working towards the same thing, we don't get in each other's way. We support each other 100%. And so I would tell anybody, when it comes down to relationships, you have, from a man's perspective, you need a woman that's going to be understanding. And that means in whatever you have going on, if you have kids, if you have a demanding career, if you have great aspirations, whatever it is you got going on, if you have a person that's understanding, you have a chance to have a great relationship. And that person, if they really care about you, could be the one, and so you have to look deeper into that. If a person's, if a woman's more selfish and she's pulling you away from the things you want, the people you want to be around, if she's just constantly pulling on you, then chances are she's not going to be the one for you, even though, you guys may care for each other and all of that good stuff, but it's going to be a hard marriage because she's always going to be pulling on you. And that's going to be tough, right? And so you want someone to pull, like, come to you, right? Like meet you where you're going, meet you on that trajectory. You don't want someone that's pulling you away from the things that you're trying to accomplish, the things you're trying to do, or the people you're trying to have in your life, whether it's your parents or whether it's your kids or whatever it is, right? And so you have to understand that if you get a person, a woman that's understanding and she is there for you, to support you and support the things that you want, the things that you want to do, then that's a person that you can build with, and then you reciprocate that. You support her and you support the things that she wants to do. I tell my wife all the time, like, I didn't marry my wife for cooking and cleaning and all of the household stuff. I literally married my wife because she understood me and she understood what it was that I was doing and what I wanted to accomplish and what was going on in my life. And that level of understanding is so refreshing and so peaceful for a man, and so she provided me a level of peace that I needed in my life. And so, rather, people always talk about these things that I think is very, second tier, cooking, cleaning, all those things. My wife runs her own firm. She don't have time to be doing all that stuff. We hire someone to clean the house. We hire someone to mow the lawn and do like, we don't look at each other as, we're here to labor for each other. We're here to support each other and build together. And I know it's different for everybody, but for me, that wasn't what it was about. For me, it was about having someone that I knew understood me, they had my back, and they supported me for who I was and what I was doing. And so that's kind of how it all played out. So guys, listen, find you a woman that's understanding, that understands you, understands what it is that you're doing. But the key is lay your cards on the table, be upfront with her, all your junk, all your stuff, right? Look, this is me, right? And give them the opportunity to decide if they want to take you as you are, right? But a lot of times we try to hide the things that are not so pleasing, or the things that are not the great attributes. But for me, what worked for me was I put them all on the table, everything that I was dealing with, what I was doing, everything. I just laid all my cards on the table and laid them faced up. And we had these conversations. She accepted it, and I accepted her for who she was. And here we are. We've been married over 8 years, and things have been going great for us. Just how we've been interacting and operating with each other, and it's because of how we communicate and the level of understanding that we operate with each other. So, so that would be my advice, man. If you guys are, in a relationship, looking for a relationship, find that person that has a deep level of understanding about you, and then you lay all your stuff on the table and show them who you are and allow them to make a decision based upon that. And I feel like when you do that, the right person comes along and accepts you for who you are, accepts you for where you at in life, and then you guys build on that. So that's my story. I appreciate you guys. Definitely hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this story. I got some more heat coming for you guys. I appreciate you guys as usual. I'll see you next time.